Yes, fine.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Online.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. A topic given to me is research and development. The syllabus contains so many aspects in regarding to this topic. We would like to discuss the topic in 2 sessions, 3 hour session, 2.5 hour session, in first session and second session. Just I start my presentation. What is the aim of this presentation? That syllabus includes the UN Sustainable Development Goals, UNESCO recommendations on open science, followed by research related topics, research meaning, types, process, research process, testing of hypotheses, funding, research proposals, etc. First, let us discuss why we need to do the research. United Nations has developed Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. The world is facing multiple crises that threaten the very survival of the humanity. War is going on, Israel and Gaza, Ukraine and Russia. Ships are attacked in the sea by terrorists. This world is facing so many problems. All these crises and ways to prevent and navigate them are addressed in the SDGs. SDGs means Sustainable Development Goals. Why we need these goals for the world, all the countries in the world? The number of people living less than US dollar 1.9 per day or 68 crores. India has got 140 crores. If you take the total population, the per capita income or the income is right. 1.9 per day means today the US dollar rate is 83.5. 83 plus 80 around 160 rupees means the people are earning 160 rupees per day on an average. If you take total population in the world, around 68 crores means they are below the poverty line. As many as 83 crores of people are suffering from hunger without food. Main reason for this is that the recent COVID-19 infected more than 50 crores of people worldwide. Even today we are afraid. The country like Singapore, they are facing the COVID crisis. This directly and indirectly, this COVID has resulted in the death of nearly 1.5 crore people throughout the world from 2000 onwards. These problems the world is facing. For this, how to address these problems? All countries around the world should aim for some goals. These goals have been identified by the United Nations. Number 1 is no poverty. Poverty means we have to eliminate the poverty. But some hunger. Second, sustainable goals. Third one is good health and well-being. Suppose the first one, no poverty and no hunger, it leads to the good health and well-being of the people. Fourth one is quality education, maybe primary education, secondary education, higher education. The cost of education is going up in our country also. In government schools, the cost is less. In the private sector, the cost is very high. And the quality is also different in private and public education institutions. The fourth goal is to provide quality education. Fifth one is gender equality, male and female, opportunities for the male and female, and violence. All these things must be reduced and should be given equal opportunity for male and female in all spheres of the economy. Sixth one is clean water and sanitation. We have seen the water crisis in some metropolitan cities. For example, in Bangalore, till recently, water was not available. They have to buy the water from tanker, and sanitation is also another problem. So throughout the world, the goal is to provide clean water and sanitation. Seventh one is affordable and clean energy. Now we have to avoid this diesel, coal, etc. We have to go for the clean energy, solar energy, or electric vehicles, etc. We are thinking for that by 2030. So India wants to achieve the clean energy goals. Eighth one is a decent work and economic growth. All of us should have the work and also economic growth opportunities in the country. Ninth one is industry innovation infrastructure. Infrastructure means rail, roads, transport, telecommunication, etc. They should be given top priority. And innovation in the industry and the industry development. 10th one is reduce inequalities between the regions, among the people around the world. 11th one is sustainable cities and communities. 12th one is responsible consumption and production. Means we are using plastic. Consumer is very happy to use the plastic. Producer is also happy to produce the plastic and give. But the society, environmental pollutions, environmental problems we are facing. So its 12th goal is each and every individual has a responsibility to consume, what to consume and what not to consume. 13 was climate action. The 14th one is life below the water, means aquatic. 15 is life on land, maybe plants and animals, including people who are living in on the land. 16 is peace, justice, and strong institutions, maybe courts, high court, Supreme Court, etc. And also the Reserve Bank of India, like this. We should have a strong and independent, impartial institutions. 17th one is partnership for goals. Each and every country should join together to achieve these goals. These are the sustainable goals developed by United Nations in 2015. Already we are nearing 9th year now. I think 2025 becomes 10 years. Every year the United Nations releases the report, progress report, how much it has been achieved, these goals have been achieved, and what should be done in future to achieve these goals. Why we are telling this is, we are teachers, we are involved with research. Basically, research means to find solution for problems. There are many problems are there. Problems may be national, international, regional, or local problems. Problems may be related to individual or institutions. So how do our research output should focus on reducing the problem faced by the government or country. These are the 17 SDGs, which would act as a mission for the researchers like us. Our research should focus on achieving any or many of these goals. Second thing is UNESCO recommendation on open science. Scientific research, we are giving a lot of importance for science research along with the social science research. In United Nations, UNESCO General Conference held in 41st session in 2021, it has passed a resolution recognizing the urgency of addressing complex and interconnected environmental, social, and economic challenges for the people and the planet, including poverty, health issues, access to education, rising inequalities, disparities of opportunity, increasing science, technology, innovation gaps, natural resource depletion, loss of biodiversity, degradation, climate change, natural and human-made disasters, spiraling conflicts, and related humanitarian crisis. I think it has got so many concepts here to address these things. UNESCO, in this 41st session, acknowledging this vital importance of science, technology, and innovation to respond to these challenges by providing solutions to improve the human well-being, advance environmental sustainability, respect for planet's biological, cultural diversity, foster sustainable social and economic development, and promote democracy and peace. Also acknowledging the opportunities and potential provided by the expansion of information, communication technologies, and global interconnectedness to accelerate human progress, foster knowledge societies, highlighting the importance of narrowing STI, digital gaps existing within countries and regions. It runs to so many pages. This is the preamble of this UNESCO resolution. To achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, the UNESCO recommends for open science. What is open science? Suppose some researcher, scientist will do the research. He come out with some scientific result that will be patented by some MNCs, multinational corporations belong to one country. For example, pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical industry, if they invent some drug, for example, cancer, if they discover a drug to treat the cancer. Okay. Sorry for the disturbance. So we're talking about open science. Open science and closed science. Closed science means there are some research laboratories, universities, they do the research and they get their patents in their name and they produce the product on the basis of the scientific result and they quote the highest price for these products. Especially I was telling about the pharmaceutical companies products. So UNESCO says that the scientific research should be open to all. For this, it has some guidelines promoting common understanding of open science, associated benefits and challenges, as well as diverse paths to the open science, developing and enabling policy environment for open science, investing money for open science infrastructures and services, investing in human resources, training, education, digital literacy, capacity building for research in the open science, fostering culture of open science and aligning incentives for open science, promoting innovative approaches for open science at different stages of scientific process, and also promoting international multi-stakeholder cooperation in the context of open science with view to reducing digital. It says that whenever you do the research, it should be the available to all. I was telling about the researchers. If you want to download some research article, our own research article we publish in the research journal. After publication, they don't permit the author to download. Means I cannot download my own publications in some of the reputed journals published by me. They ask for the money. Okay, so this is another development. Means whatever we do it for achieving the sustainable development goals, and also the results or the knowledge, scientific knowledge should be open to everyone. With this background, I come to the topic, what is research? Research, curiosity is a distinctive feature of human being. We wonder. Why we wonder? Some curiosity comes to our mind. We are curious to know about many things, existing, future things, existing things, why it is happening. There are 6 honest friends in research. They are what, where, when, why, who, how. If we try to answer the questions to these, we encounter many problems. Problems are known, problems are unknown, problems are unknowable. There are 3 types of problems. Problems are already known. Poverty, for example, unemployment, inflation. Problems are known. We want to find new solution for the existing problems. Problems are not known, unknown. We have to think about what would be the problem. Suppose COVID-19, we did not know that. Okay, when the problem, we know the problem, we have to address the problem. And there are some problems we cannot know that. Means it takes time to know these problems. For any types of problems, we need to answer the solutions. For this, we have 5W1H, what, where, when, why, and who. As human beings, we try to answer to these questions when we encounter some problems. Research is a systematic and objective search for solution to a problem. Research can be of 2 types. One is unsystematic and biased. Unsystematic means haphazard, without any systematic procedures one can follow. But a formal research is one wherein you follow the systematic procedures and methods, and it is very objective. It is verifiable by others to find a solution for the problem. Research is a purposeful investigation which involves the implicit question posed, the explicit answer proposed. Means we have a question, we have a problem, research question. We can ask the research question. What is the answer? We get it. That answer should be very specific, very clear answer for the existing problem. For this, we require to collect the data, analyze the data, and make interpretations or inferences to find the solution for the problem. This is the basic meaning of research. Research may be either unsystematic or biased, or systematic or objective. Biased means prejudice. we may give some solution to some problem which cannot be acceptable by in general. Research is systematic, objective, rational, logical approach to find the answer to the questions. Findings of the research are based on objective, verifiable, and empirical evidence. We need evidence. Evidence can be from observation or experimentation, or maybe through survey or descriptive surveys. We can find the evidence. Evidence is the proof of research. What is the proof? Evidence would give the support for solutions where researcher has done to find the solution for the problem. Research process, how do we engage in the research work? It is the framework of the research. There are several steps involved in the research. One such framework is F-Spider. This is a very simple research process. What is F-Spider? The letter F is an abbreviation of female. F means female, female spider. F-Spider means female spider. Why we are using F? Female spider and male spider, if you make a comparison, female spider is known to be dangerous and is possibly deadly if we dealt it in a careless manner. Spiders are available in all our houses and also in the jungle. Research should be like a female spider. We must be careful, very careful, and we must handle the research very carefully. If we mishandle the research output, if we get it from the wrong research, that leads to several problems. So research can be a powerful weapon, or it can pose further problems if the research is used unwisely or inappropriately. Therefore, to do the research, we are summarizing the research process in a very simple words, that is F-Spider. If we dissect the F-Spider, what it contains, in any research, F means formulate the research problem. First F. S means state the null and alternate hypothesis. P means plan the research methodology. I means insist of using secondary data first. There are two types of data, secondary data and primary data. First, we try to use the secondary data. If it is not adequate, not available or inadequate, we can go for primary data. D for design data collection methods for both primary data and secondary data. E for edit, tabulate, and analyze the data. Whatever the data, we get it through experimentation, through observation, through surveys, etc. This data should be edited, tabulated, and it should be analyzed. Lastly, in F-Spider, we have to record the findings. What is our observation? What is the findings? What is the result? And what is our recommendations based on the basis of findings? So these are the steps involved in the research. It is easy to remember. F-Spider, formulate the research problem, state the null and alternate hypothesis, plan the research methodology, insist of using secondary data, design data collection methods, edit, tabulate, and analyze the data, record the findings and recommendations. In the next slide, I would go in detail with the first one. In the F-Spider, the first one is formulate the research problem. A researcher will have a problem, research problem. What is the research problem? There are many research problems are available in all fields of our study, maybe science or social science, languages, etc. Suppose I quote some of these things. Adani company's problem with Hindenburg's report. Last January, Hindenburg's report has given a report of short selling report. Companies in the share prices in the stock market has reduced. Ukraine-Russia war or Israel-Gaza war, people are facing problem. Water, food, poverty, unemployment, inflation problems, traffic, pollution problem. There are many problems, maybe macro level problems or micro level problems, individual problems or collective problems, which we are facing. As a researcher, can identify the research problem. What is the research problem? Suppose I give this example. Formulate a research problem, machine stops. Question number 1, why did the machine stop? This is the answer we are asking. What is the answer for this question? Because the fuse blew due to an overload. Overload of electricity supply, the fuse blown out. So second question is, why was there an overload? Because the bearing lubrication was inadequate. Third question is, why is the lubrication inadequate? Answer is because the lubrication pump was not functioning well. Fourth question is why has not the lubricating pump was not functioning well? Because the pump axle was worn out. Fifth question is why was it worn out? Because sludge got in. Means small children are asking like this. They will ask one question, we give another answer, appropriate answer. Again, there will be another question for that answer. This is like a helix. Helix means you ask the question, you get the answer, you ask the question, you get the answer. You can go like this. We have used here only why. There can be a questions you can frame for research problem, what, where, when, who, how, W, 5W and 1H, you can ask questions. So to formulate the research problem, we have to ask questions, research questions, so to understand what exactly is the problem on which I am doing research. So many times we do the research without knowing what I have to do, without knowing the research problem. We may recommend some solutions. So research problem well defined means 50% of the solution, we may get it very easily. Cause and effect relationship. For any research problem, you identify the cause and effect relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. There are two types of variable. Dependent variable, that's the effect. Independent variable is the cause. There can be one independent variable or more than one independent variables. For example, inflation. Inflation is increasing, rising. Why? What is the reason? Maybe less production, more demand, more consumption, more export. There are several problems for inflation. So inflation is one dependent variable. It is affected by many independent variables. You can study the cause and effect relationship. So what do you want to study? What is your research problem? To identify that, you may identify a measurable dependent variable and also a measurable independent variable or variables. One is cause factor, another one is effect factor. Why do we do this research, identify the research problem and do the research? Normally we have inference. Inference is called decision or it is also called conclusion. Sometimes it is referred to as findings, results, etc. Inference is a form of thought. It is a thought by observing certain rules to obtain a new judgment from one or several judgments. So each and every day we form judgments. Judgments are based on opinions, feelings, perceptions, etc. Inference can be based on evidence, or inference can be based on without any evidence. We're talking about the formal research. This inference is a form of thought by observing certain rules, by following certain rules, procedures, and steps. We obtain a new judgment, new form of thought from one or several judgments. For example, when we make an inference, it may yield a true conclusion. This is certainty. So suppose we may predict that today rain will come. Is it true? Is it true? If the answer is yes, certainty. Yield a conclusion with a certain degree of probability. I may not say completely it rains. Then there is some degree of doubt is there. The degree of doubt, the degree of confidence is expressed through the probability. Probability is the value between 1 and 0. 1 is certainty, 0 is uncertainty. 1 is true, 0 is false. Somewhere near to 1 is high certainty, high degree of certainty or probability. For example, 0.999. It is nearer to 1. Something is uncertainty which is nearer to 0, 0.00001 like this. So we express the certainty or uncertainty through the probability, degree of probability. So our inference, our conclusion may yield a true conclusion. This is certainty, it is true, or it may lead to a false conclusion. False may be 0, or it may be nearer to 0. This is the judgment. Inference may be deductive inference and inductive inference. We call it as a deductive approach or inductive approach. Deductive reasoning or inductive reasoning. Our inference is a form of thought. It is used for making judgment. What is the base for making judgment? This can be inductive or first we take up the deductive inference, deductive reasoning. A deductive inference is one in which the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises from higher degree of generality to a lesser degree of generality. We say deductive reasoning means an inference is drawn from general to particular. You take the general phenomenon, and from observing the general phenomenon or studying the general phenomena, you come to conclusion that is from general to particular. For example, all MCOM students would get jobs. This is my premise, my assumption, my hypothesis. Mr. A is an MCOM student who has completed MCOM or who is pursuing MCOM. What is my conclusion? My conclusion is Mr. A would get a job. My conclusion in the third step is based on the first step. What is my first proposition? All MCOM students would get jobs. This is my first proposition. Mr. A is an MCOM student, therefore A would get a job. This is I making an inference from general to particular. What is general here? All MCOM students would get a job is general. If this statement is true, then my judgment is conclusion is also true. I had given in the previous slide that an inference can be in a true conclusion. What's the true conclusion? All MCOM students get job. All B students would get jobs. This is the proposition I'm making. If it gives a true conclusion, when I make a statement that all B students would get jobs, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C is a B holder, he would get a job. This conclusion is called deductive conclusion, deductive reasoning. The first premise is a universal affirmative judgment. All MCOM students would get a job is a universal statement and expresses a greater degree of generalization than the judgment. It makes a general statement. So based on this general statement, I will come to conclusion that Mr. A would get a job. This type of inference is called deductive inference. This starts from general, observing or studying the general phenomena and come to conclusion or particular conclusion to a specific phenomenon. The next one is inductive inference, inductive reasoning. An inductive reasoning is one in which inference is drawn from particular knowledge with a lower degree of generality to a new knowledge with a higher degree of generality. Just you see the deductive and inductive. Inductive reasoning start with a specific knowledge with a lower degree of generality. You are studying the specific, particular thing. Based on this, you come to a larger population. Mr. A, an MCOM student, has got a job. Based on the study of Mr. A, an individual who has got a job after completing MCOM, I make a proposition that all MCOM degree holders would get jobs. The general does not exist independently. The particular does not exist without general. This is what we conclude from the deductive and inductive means both will coexist, general and particular. So often our conclusion are based on referring to the general phenomena or particular phenomena. In case of inductive reasoning, we study the specific, then you go to conclusion, conclude the general. So that's why we say an inference is drawn from particular to general. These are the two types of inductive inference and deductive inference. Now to do this inference, what do we do? I said you can study the whole and come to conclusion, or I say you would study the part of the population and come to conclusion. For this, we go for complete induction or partial induction. What is complete induction? A complete induction is an inference in which general conclusion about the group of objects is reached by studying all the objects in that group. Whole population, suppose stars in the sky, trees in the forest, fish in the sea. You take the population of fish in the sea. Can you study the whole fish in the sea? Impossible. Can you study the trees in the forest? How many trees are there? We cannot count. Can you study the stars in the sky? How many stars are there? Sometimes it is impossible for an individual or a individual to study the whole population. What do? We take a representative portion of the population. Suppose if we study the whole population, we call it as an incomplete induction. Means It is an inference in which a general conclusion about the group of objects is reached by studying all the objects whole. It requires more time. If you want to do complete induction, it requires more time. It involves high cost, and also it requires more man. For example, complete induction is done by the Government of India census once in 10 years. And now we are already in 2024. Census data for 2021 should be made available by the government. Okay, when they complete the census of the census data, you get a huge data about the demographic, education, economic, social, so many things. We get the information through the census. This can be done by the government, but an individual researcher cannot go for complete induction because it requires a lot of time and also money and manpower. Instead of complete induction, what do we do in research? We go for partial induction. What is partial induction? Partial induction is used when we are unable to observe all instances of the phenomenon being studied, but draw a conclusion from the all. Means we don't want to study the whole. We study only the part of the population and come to conclusion for the whole population. This is also called, partial induction is also called sample study or experimental study. We do experiments in the lab or we do experiments outside in the field. Field experiments are laboratory experiments. We take the sample, representative sample, respondents, and we ask the questions and we get the data. Means we are not studying the whole population, but we are only studying the small representative population for conclusion. This is called partial induction. This partial induction may be of three types. One is induction by ordinary recurrence. Second one is induction by analysis and selection of facts. Third one is scientific induction of causality. There are three types of induction. First one is induction by ordinary recurrence. The recurrence of one and the same property in a series of homogeneous objects and the absence of any examples to contradict this serve as the basis for conclusion that all objects of the set classes possess this property. For example, we can say that all swans are white, all crows are black, until black swans or white crows are encountered. Recurring means you see first swan, second swan, third swan, the color is white. You see the first crow, second crow, third crow, the same black color. This is one type of induction by studying 1, 2, 3, 4 phenomena. For example, recurrence of COVID-19. COVID-19, whether it has gone, we come to conclusion that this COVID-19 has gone, but it may reoccur. Suppose I said, told about the Singapore, it may come to India or some other country. A recurrence means whether any problem we are facing has the history, whether it has occurred earlier. So in the human history, so many problems we have seen. It is not new to us. Already some ways some people have encountered. What was the solution they have used for solving that problem that can be refined and that can be applied for solving the present problem. This is induction by ordinary recurrence. Second one is induction by selection analysis of facts. We are the academicians, we are interested in this induction. Objects to be observed are chosen at random. What do you want to study? It is called a sample. Sample is a representative population. How to draw the sample? There are different ways to draw the sample. A sample is a portion of the population. That portion is a representative one. For that, you have to use this probability theory. What the probability theory says, each and every element of the population has equal chance to be selected. Suppose 100 people are there in the group of population, a finite population. Each and every person in the 100 group has equal chance to be selected. How it can be possible? One way is to put the chits, paper strips in the box, and rotate it and get the strip. This is one way. Second way is to use the random digits table. We have a random digits table based on the probability theory. Random digits table will have numbers from 0 to 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. In a box, you put 0 to 9 strips and take the number, take the slip and write the number. This is called random digits table. This table can be prepared by you. And if you want to draw the sample, you have to use the random digits table. In all textbooks, it's available. How to use the random digits table? Random digits have a series of numbers, rows and verticals. Vertical numbers and rows are there. You want a 2-digit sample, for example, 1-digit sample, 9. You want 9 sample size. You refer 1-digit random digit table, row or column. If you want 2 digits, you go to the 2 digits, means 99 up to 99. If you want a sample of 3 digits up to 9 or 99, you go to the 3 digits table. Use the random digits table and select the sample. That is a very simple method of selecting probability sampling. It can be simple random, stratified random, or systematic random sampling, or it can be further classified into multi-stage or multi-phase sampling. You can draw the sample from the population to study. Sample is a portion of the representative portion of the population. When you select the sample, the next one is to data are collected for the sample. When you collect the data, you analyze the data, and based on the analysis of the data, you get the inference conclusion. So this is induction by selection analysis of facts, means by drawing a sample and studying the facts about the sample and come to the conclusion. Research in sciences and social sciences are mostly of this type, induction by selection analysis of facts. This is the second one. Third one, scientific induction of causality. Scientific induction is an inference in which the essential relationship of a part of the class of subjects is used to obtain general conclusions about all subjects in the class. For example, a man can live without food for 30 to 40 days, but he must have water every day. Without water, he cannot live. He may die. Without air, he may not live. The human being cannot live without water. What is the impact of water consumption on the health of the individual? You can study what is the cause and effect relationship. Without food, without water, without air, do the human being live? If so, how many days or years? This is, you are establishing a cause and effect relationship between one variable, independent variable, and another one is a dependent variable. Scientific induction of causality establishes cause and effect relationship through experiments. I think these are the 3 types of induction. The partial induction, I see the previous slide here. We have discussed the inference. Inference can be deductive or inductive. In the inductive inference, we have complete induction or partial induction. In the partial induction, there are 3 types of induction. One is order recurrence, analysis of selection of facts, and induction of causality. How our research is going on in the universities and colleges is based on the partial induction. Next, I come to the statistical inference. We discussed now the inference can be a form of thought based on some evidence, objective evidence, verifiable evidence. What we do, we have gone for statistical inference. What is statistical inference? We are concerned with how to draw conclusions about large groups of objects or about events yet to occur on the basis of observation of few subjects. Using the statistics, we collect the data, primary data or secondary data about the phenomena, and we analyze this data and we come to a conclusion. Statistics provides tools which formalize, standardize our procedures for drawing such conclusions. There are many statistical methods are available. So in formal research, we are referring to the inference which is based on statistical tests and their results. Now, we go for how to draw the inference. For that, we have to go for stating the null and alternate hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a tentative solution for the problem. What is the tentative solution? I said there's a research problem is there. We need to have a solution. Solution is proposed beginning of the research itself, and it is tested after completion of the research whether the hypothesis is approved or disapproved. Hypothesis is a tentative conclusion for a problem. When we have a problem, we propose a solution. This solution is tentative, temporary. Tentative means temporary. It is not accepted. It is not permanent. So researcher would state hypothesis. These hypotheses are of two types. One is null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. There is another hypothesis, we call it as a research hypothesis. We come to that later. So if you want to test the hypothesis to draw the inference, there are several steps in this. First step is state the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Step number 1, H0 and H1. Step 2, choose the appropriate statistical test for testing the hypothesis. This is a statistical inference, therefore you're using a statistical test for that. Step 3 is specify a significance level, alpha value for a sample size, n. Step 4 is find the appropriate sampling distribution. What type of sampling distribution is our data? Step 5 is on the basis of step 2, 3, and 4, define the region of rejection for the statistical test. There are two regions, one is acceptance region and rejection region. If our significance level is 0.05, it can be two-tailed test or one-tailed test. If it is only one-tailed test, 0.95 is the acceptance region, 0.05 is the rejection region. It can be one-tailed test, a right-tailed test, or left-tailed test. Right-tailed means right side of the distribution, left side is left side of the distribution. You can have one-tailed test, or you can have a two-tailed test where you can find the rejection region at the both sides, left and right. And step 6 is collect the data, primary data and second data. Step number 7 is using the data obtained from the samples, compute the value of this test statistics. It can be Z test or T test or ANOVA or correlation. You find a value, what is the value of correlation? And you compare this one with the critical value or a table value, and that you can make a decision. Means for a statistical inference, you follow some logical steps. These are the 8 steps involved in statistical inference. I want to elaborate these things. The null and alternate hypothesis. The null hypothesis is a hypothesis of no effect. It is a negation of the point one is trying to make. Suppose it rains, I am making a statement. Alternatively, you can also say it doesn't rain. It rains, it doesn't rain. Means you are negating what you propose in the hypothesis. So testing of hypothesis requires two types of hypothesis, null hypothesis and research hypothesis. Null hypothesis is usually formulated for the express purpose of being rejected. We want to reject the null hypothesis. We want to accept the research hypothesis or alternate hypothesis with the support of the data. So test requires to formulate two types of hypothesis. If null hypothesis is rejected, alternate hypothesis is accepted. If the null hypothesis is accepted, then it should be rejected. Only the two results are this. One is accept the null hypothesis or reject the null hypothesis. Alternate hypothesis is the operational statement of the researcher's research hypothesis. I told you about the research hypothesis. When you do the research, you will form a theory. You want to test the theory to bring the results to the practice. There are three things in the triangle. One is theory, research, and practice. Theory supplies knowledge for practice. Practice implements the theoretical knowledge. It may face some problems, therefore it refers to the research. Research will find the problems, solutions to the problems in practice as well as theory. So therefore, alternative hypothesis is a operational statement of the researcher's research hypothesis. Research hypothesis is the prediction derived from the theory under test. Means you have a theory, from the theory you derive a research hypothesis, and you propose this research hypothesis for acceptance or rejection. The step number 1, if we elaborate further, when we want to make a decision or draw an inference about the differences between two phenomena, we test H0 against H1. H1 constitutes the assertion or hypothesis that is accepted if H1 is rejected. Means null hypothesis is rejected, you can go for acceptance of the research hypothesis. Suppose I'm taking an example now. Suppose a certain socio-psychological theory would lead us to predict that two specified groups of people would differ in the amount of time they spend using mobile phone. Now we are all parents, our children have to study, but they spend more time on mobile phone. I want to study how many minutes or how many hours our students are spending on mobile phone. I can classify them into two groups. One is girls and boys, for example, whether girls are spending more time or boys are spending more time. Or I can take students and employees, those who are working and those who are not working, unemployed. Whether unemployed people are working using more mobile phone. So this is a social phenomena. This is a psychological phenomena. And we are addicted to the mobile phone, and we are knowingly or unknowingly spending a lot of time with the mobile phone. I want to test, I want to study, taking two groups of sample. This prediction, what is the theory I'm proposing is that the amount of time they're spending between two groups of people for using mobile phone differs. There's a difference in the usage of mobile phone by girls and boys, or males and females, or urban people and rural people. If I make this hypothesis is a proposition, I can test it. Generally speaking, our research hypothesis is that the groups differ. Which are the groups? One is girls and boys, males and females. What is the research topic I am using? How much time they spend for using the mobile phone? The time usage differs. This is my hypothesis. What I will do to confirm the prediction would let support the theory from which it was derived. So to test this hypothesis, we state it in an operational form as the alternative hypothesis H1. How you can state this hypothesis? One measure would be to use the mean amount of time each group spent on seeing mobile phone. Every day, how many hours a group of students will spend? Suppose I take first BCom or first BA students. How many hours they spend in mobile phone per day? One may be spending 5 hours or 6 hours, another may be spending only 1 hour. If a class has got a 60 students, what is the average amount of time they spend for mobile phone? I collect the data. I ask one simple questions to my student. How many hours you spend time on mobile phone? They give the answer. Their answer may be reliable or unreliable. They may give the accurate figure or may not. Okay. I collect the data. So therefore, I get a mean amount of time they spend for with mobile phone. Then I formulated an hypothesis. H1 would be that mu1 is not equal to mu2. Mu is the mean of group 1 is not equal to mean of group 2. That is, the mean amount of time spent seeing mobile phones by the members of the two population is unequal. It is not same. I am testing the difference between the mean of two groups. H0 would be mu1 is equal to mu2. H1 is mu1 is not equal to mu2. Null hypothesis, they are equal. Alternate hypothesis, they are not equal. So you please understand what is my theory. My theory is that the girls and boys differ in usage of mobile phone. This is my theory. I want to test that. That theory gives the alternative hypothesis that there is a difference in the mean usage of time with mobile phone. Negation of that is alternative hypothesis. This is mean of girls and boys is equal. The mean amount of time spent seeing mobile phones by the members of the two population is same. This is my null hypothesis. If the data permit us to reject the H0, then we would accept H1 since the data supports the research hypothesis and its underlying theory. I can collect the data from the males and females, girls and boys, how many hours they use. If the study finds that the both girls and boys are using the same number of hours, then I reject the hypothesis and I come to conclusion that both of them are same, means there is no one is not more or another one is not low. The nature of the research hypothesis determines how H1 should be stated. If the research hypothesis simply state the two groups will differ with respect to means, then my research hypothesis is mu1 is not equal to mu2. I can alternatively change my hypothesis. The theory predicts the direction of the difference. That is, one specified group will have larger mean than the other. Then H1 may be either mu1 is greater than mu2 or mu1 is lower than mu2. Mean of group 1 is lower than mean of group 2. That is, the mean from group 1 is greater than the or less than the mean of other group. For example, I have taken another example to prove this. We formulated a theory that girls and boys score equal marks in CBSE 12th standard examination, PUC, second PUC. Then our research hypothesis is that girls' mean marks is equal to boys' mean marks. Suppose in second PUC, you take a sample of girls and boys, you collect the marks and find the average marks scored by girls and average marks scored by boys. Then my hypothesis is that mu1 is equal to mu2, means girls' mean marks is equal to boys' mean marks. We formulate the theory that girls score more marks than boys. This is my second theory. My first theory is that girls and boys score equal marks. My second theory is that girls score more marks than boys. Then our research hypothesis is that girls' mean marks is greater than the boy mean marks. We may also formulate a theory that girls score less marks than the boys. I can say boys score more marks than the girls. This is my third theory. Then our research hypothesis is that girls' mean marks is less than the boys' mean marks. Mu1 is less than mu2. Means just I want to study the CBSE second PUC results. I will have a proposition, one theory, second theory, third theory, three theories before me. Based on my assumption, theory means an assumption, proposition, I can formulate three types of hypothesis. One is girls score equal marks that are boys. Second one is girls score more than boys. Third one is boys score less than girls. In general, in the newspapers, you see immediately after the results announced by the CBSE, you see that girls score more marks than the boys. Is it true? Is it true or is it false? I have to collect the sample data and test it. But the newspaper would give the information on the basis of how many students have passed, how many girls have passed, how many boys have failed, what's the percentage of girls scored, etc. If you want to test the truthfulness of this observation, you have to collect the sample from the girls students who passed the CBSE 12 examination and also boys, and you analyze the data. So, in research, you propose the hypothesis, you formulate the hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a theory, a conceptual theory. You're proposing as a solution, as an observation for a research problem. It should be noted that although we may say that the data support H1 means girls score more marks than the boys, we would like to accept the hypothesis. We cannot say that H1 is true. Means here, accepting hypothesis is based on the evidence. The evidence is based on the data, the marks scored by the students in 12th examination. On the basis of the data, on the basis of the sample size you have collected, you would come to conclusion that the hypothesis is accepted or rejected. But you cannot say conclusively H1 is true. True and false, I come to the first one, means certainty and uncertainty. Probability 1 and 0. Probability 1 is true. Probability 0 is false. Somewhere my inference is not exactly 1, it is not exactly 0, it is somewhere nearer to 0 or nearer to 1. So that's why, based on the sample, based on the data collected by us and analyzed, we come to conclusion that this result is applicable on the basis of the sample I have drawn, and it can be generalized only with certain limitations. So our data only permit us to make probabilistic statements concerning the hypothesis. What is the using the probability theory? We construct an hypothesis and we test the hypothesis. Now I give some examples here. Null and alternative hypothesis. I make a statement: a cow eats grass. It is a true statement. A cow does not eat grass. I am making an alternative hypothesis, null hypothesis. You may reject the second one, accept the first one. It is a general truth. Cow eats grass is general truth. Based on observation of the population of the cows, you can come to this conclusion. I can make another observation. A cow eats plastic. A cow doesn't eat plastic. This is my second proposition hypothesis. Okay, how to formulate the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis and how to test this. And I have given some other examples. All BCom student graduates get jobs. No BCom graduates who get job. Some BCom graduates would get jobs. Which is true? Which is false? I can collect the data and test the results. I can make a statement. All people are honest. No one is honest. Some people are honest. If my first statement is true, all people are honest, I don't find any dishonest people in the world. If the second one is true, no one is honest means I don't find any honest persons in the world. But it is not the first or the second. The world consists of the third one. Some people are honest, some people are dishonest. Whether some people are honest, most people are dishonest, we will see by observing the phenomenon. This is how we can formulate the hypothesis based on some theoretical assumptions about the research problem. This is the first two steps in the testing of hypothesis. First one, propose the hypothesis, how to formulate the hypothesis for the test research. And second one is you go for choosing an appropriate statistical test. Now I come to we are discussing the statistical inference. There can be inference without statistics also. Okay, there are people in the villages, they can judge, they can make a judgment based on observation of the nature by experience. They don't use any data or statistics. But we academicians, we are in the universities and colleges, we have to do the statistical inference. Therefore, I have to use the appropriate statistical test for accepting or rejecting the hypothesis. The field of statistics has developed over a period of time. I think after the Industrial Revolution, 1900 onwards, we have seen industry have developed so many statistical tools and techniques. Okay, number one is statistical quality control. This was the beginning of the mass production of industrial products. The statistics advanced as a new branch for quality control, quality improvement, and quality advancement. And now we are applying the quality statistical tools in every space of our life. We have alternative valid statistical tests which might be used to reach the decision about the hypothesis. There are many statistical tests are available. Suppose some of these, we must be very rational in choosing the statistical test. For example, to test the difference in mean of one sample, you go to the one sample t test. The word t, it is a small t, not a capital letter T. The T is derived from the pen name of Gosset. It is called student. T means student. Student is a pen name. Pen name is Kavyanama. Pen name of Gosset. Gosset is a statistician who is employed in one industry in the UK. Every day he was observing data in the industry and he was employed in quality control department. He wants to publish the results, empirical results. In his name, he was not permitted to publish because he was employed in industry. Therefore, what he did, he published so many articles in the name of T. T means student. Student is the pen name of Gosset. He has taken the less than 30 sample size. He doesn't take so many sample size. Suppose you take the 10 phenomena, 20 or 50, 30. He studied this phenomena and he has published the result. So if you want to test the difference in mean of one sample, what is one sample? Mr. A, for example, Mr. A has written the examination. You have a goal in the beginning, before examination, I must score 95%, but he has scored 89%. What is the difference here? 89 or 95, 6% difference. Whether this 6% difference is significant or insignificant. You can test using one sample t-test. Means you take less than 30 sample and you test whether this significant difference is there between the expected score and the actual score. You can go for testing one sample mean value. You can go for testing the difference in mean values. For example, just now I told you about the girls' mean marks and boys' mean marks. Is there a difference in the girls and boys' performance? You go for two sample t-test or z-test. If the sample size is less than 30, you can go for two samples t-test, or more than 30, you can go for z-test. Then test the difference between means of more than two samples. You go for now analysis of variance. Means there are different statistical tests are available in the statistical book. You can choose which test is appropriate for your study. If you want to study the cause and effect relationship between independent variable and dependent variable, you go for Pearson correlation coefficient or simple regression or rank correlation. If you want to study the cause and effect relationship of more than one independent variables and dependent variable, you go for multiple correlation and multiple regression. You can formulate a model, multiple correlation, wherein you can find the influence of many independent variables on dependent variable. So second step is choose the appropriate statistical test. This statistical test to find differences in mean of one sample, two samples, or more than two samples, you can use the different steps. Just I have given the example here. The girl students score more marks than boy students. You can have an hypothesis, one direction hypothesis. Mu1 is greater than mu2. Boy students score less marks than girl students. Mu1 lower than the mu2. You can go for t-test to test whether this is true or false. The step 3 is specify a significance level of a sample size. What is significance level? I told you in the beginning, our inference, our conclusion is true, truth. This is true means truth, certainty, 1. Or it can be false, 0. 0 is full doubt. Okay. Can I make a statement that I would become a Prime Minister of India? If I make that statement, my evidence will give 0. 0 means no, impossible. I cannot be a President Prime Minister of India. So what is the significance level? There are two levels. One is significance level and confidence level. What is the confidence level? You take one digit, 1 minus 0.95. 0.95 is the confidence level, 0.05 is the significance level. Significance level shows how much you are not sure about happening of the event. If the significance level is low, 0.001, your confidence level is very high. Therefore, researcher to test the hypothesis, he would specify the significance level. Usually, researcher may decide to work at the 0.05 level. 0.05 significance level means confidence level is 0.95. Total comes to 1. But a researcher may use other significance level 0.01, confidence level is 0.99, 0.005, confidence level is 0.995, or 0.001, 0.999. You can go up to the 6 sigma level. In normal distribution, you have 1 sigma, 2 sigma, 3 sigma, 4 sigma. If the sigma means sigma is the symbol of standard deviation. 1 standard deviation, the rejection region significance level is very high, confidence level is 66%, 2 sigma, 3 sigma, 4 sigma, 5 sigma. As you enlarge your confidence level, your significance level would reduce. Industries are using Six Sigma concept to reject the faulty products. Means 1 part per million. Japanese, they adopted what is the defect rate? They have introduced a slogan called zero defect. If they manufacture the TV, camera, or mobile phone, they say that it's a zero defect, no defect at all. Why? They can find the defect in 1 out of 10 lakh parts. 10 lakh parts means 1 million. 1 part per million. This is a Six Sigma concept. So the precision is very high, confidence is very high, acceptance level is very high, the rejection is very less. A researcher, if he wants to do an accurate research, he wants to bring out a true result, he can specify the significance level. What is the significance in advance? It can be starts with 0.05 to 0.0001 like this. Researcher maybe, what is your interest way? What is the level of significance level you can choose? It depends upon your data availability, time, and also the precision you want. You can choose the significance level. Next one is specify a significance level and sample size continuation to reject the H0 null hypothesis in favor of H1 alternate hypothesis. If a statistical test yields a value whose associated probability of occurrence under H0 is equal to or less than the same probability equal denoted by alpha, means you have got two figures. One is critical value, another one is table value. Table value is available in the statistical test book. You compare this one and you come to conclusion. Now I stop for the tea break, 3:15. I will restart at 3:30. After my presentation, we will have a question and answer session. Okay, thank you. Okay. After step 3, specifying the significance level, we go to step 4. Find the appropriate sampling distribution. There are different sampling distribution in the statistics. How your sample data looks like? Is it a normal distribution or t-distribution, chi-square distribution like this? It is that distribution we would have if we took all possible samples of the same size for this population drawn from each randomly. Means, yeah, a sample is a portion of the population. You take a sample A, B, C, D like this. If you calculate the mean of all these samples and place in the distribution, you get the one statistic which is standard distribution of the sample mean. Means what is the variation among the sample means? If you take sample A, B, C, D like this, different researchers take different samples, the variation should be minimum. Means your sample is of more realistic one because it gives accurate result. Define the region of rejection. Means based on the significance level, you calculate the value. This is the significance value, p value. You get two values. If you use the SPSS software, it gives the value. Otherwise, you can manually can also calculate the how the acceptance region and rejection is cutoff value. You can you can calculate on the basis of the mean and standard deviation and standard error of the mean. Then you go for defining the research, and based on this, you can accept the hypothesis or reject the hypothesis. You can use one-tail test or two-tail test, or you can use the right tail or left tail test on the basis of what is the hypothesis you have drawn. If H1 indicates the predicted direction of the difference, then one-tail test, or it doesn't indicate any predicted direction, you can use two-tail test. For example, BP. If you want to test the BP level among the patients, it's a two-tail test. It means low BP is on the left tail, and the high BP on the right tail. Both are dangerous. Normal BP is in between low BP and high BP. And also you take the sugar level, low sugar level and high sugar level diabetes. This is a two-tail test. If you want to test the number of hours a tube light will give light, a consumer wants more number of hours. Producer, the type of production, he says that it gives 1000 hours. I may use the tube light for more than 1000 hours. That is right tail test. Means mean is in the center, I get more number of hours. Means you can use one tail or two tail or right tail or left tail on the basis of your hypothesis. For this, you have to use the population and also the sample. There are finite population, infinite population, and also how to draw the sample. Drawing a sample random and non-probability sampling, you can use it. And you can collect the data, collection of data, maybe primary data or secondary data. You can use the questionnaire or the interview method, or you can use the observation method also for collection of data. Observation can be manual observation or mechanical observation. If you go to Reliance Trend, there is a camera fit. The camera will observe how many customers have come, how many customers have gone. Suppose you enter the shop, it is recorded. Suppose you get a phone call and you want to go out, the gatekeeper or the security will say that don't go out because the count will be there, more count will be there. This is a mechanical observation they put. CCTV cameras are put. So this observation method you can use for collection of data, manual or mechanical observation, or you may go for experimental study to collect the data, or survey questionnaire, you can use it, or interview method, you can use it. This is to collect the secondary data or primary data. Secondary data is available in the published sources, government publications, government agencies, Reserve Bank of India, SEBI, stock market data is available every day, every minute, and MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Health. All government departments are publishing data. At the international level, United Nations, WHO, UNESCO, ILO, they are publishing data. Data is available. IMF is there, World Bank is there. These are the secondary data collected by some reputed agencies, recognized agencies. You can make use of the secondary data which is already available. If this secondary data is not available, you can go for collection of primary data. Primary data can be collected from direct survey method or observation method or experimental method. When you collect all this data, you have to go for tabulation. You have to calculate the values, mean, standard deviation, correlation, or this t-value like this. Based on this, you can make a decision. What is the decision is, if a statistical test, you conduct a test which yields a value which is in the region of rejection, or it may be in the acceptance. If the value is in the rejection, you reject the hypothesis, null hypothesis. Otherwise, if it is in the acceptance reason, you accept the null hypothesis. Means you are testing the null hypothesis. You are not referring to the alternate hypothesis. When you do the statistical test, you come across the error. There are two types of errors. One is type 1 error and another one is type 2 error. What is type 1 error? Type 1 error occurs when we reject the null hypothesis when it is true. Means null hypothesis should have been accepted, but you are rejecting it. You are committing type 1 error. Type 2 error occurs when we accept the null hypothesis when it is false. Means null hypothesis should be rejected, but you are accepting it. You are committing type 2 error. So a researcher would commit either type 1 or type 2 error. You must be very careful to minimize these errors. Suppose if you put it in the table, what is our decision on the left side? What is the actual situation on the right side? Two columns. In the decision column, you have null hypothesis rejected. In the right side, it is given second column, null hypothesis is true. Null hypothesis is true, but you have rejected type 1 error. Null hypothesis is false. You have rejected this. Correct decision. Means if the null hypothesis is false, you have rejected it. That's a good decision you have made. Null hypothesis accepted in the decision column left side. Null hypothesis is true. Correct decision. If null hypothesis is false, but you have accepted, it becomes a type 2 error. So researcher must be careful. Easy committing type 1 error or type 2 error. What is the probability of committing type 1 error or type 2 error? Type 1 error means hypothesis is true. You should reject it, but you have accepted it. Okay. Now we come to the test. There are so many tests are there. Broadly, we can classify them into parametric test and non-parametric test. Based on the quantitative data and qualitative data you are collecting. You collect the data, qualitative data using the scales, nominal scale, categorical scale, ranking scale, Likert scale. These scaling techniques are used to collect the qualitative data from the respondents. For example, how are you happy with your job? Are you happy with your job means job satisfaction survey question. Job satisfaction question, the answer would be yes or no. Yes or no is a binary question. You may say yes, I am happy, I am not happy. But if you want to expand this happy or not happy into a scale, you can put strongly, agree, strongly disagree, agree, disagree, neither agree nor agree. 5-point scale you can put. This is a rating scale. This would be used for qualitative phenomena. In case of quantitative data, I think you get the data. What is the temperature? You get the data. What is the stock market index today? Nifty or BSC, you get the data. That is quantitative data, which can be measurable in terms of numerical value. In research, you can use the numerical values which are available, which can be measured by you or someone else, or you can go for perceptional data from the consumers, from the people, which are qualitative attributes, qualitative phenomenon. You can prepare a questionnaire and collect the data. So this data population values, we have got parameters and parameter test, normal distribution. Suppose if you put fit the data into a normal distribution bell-shaped curve, wherein mean is there, standard deviation, you convert the data into a standard normal distribution. You can use so many parametric test, Z test or T test, because the data fit into the test. T test is used for small sample of less than 30. We already discussed. You can use it for 1 sample T test or 2 sample T test to find the difference between the mean sample mean and the population mean. Or you can go for greater than this T test, comparison of mean of 2 samples, and the proportion also you can take sometimes. What is the proportion of the population? And you go to the Z test. Z test is used for large sample greater than 30. It is based on normal distribution. Make a comparison. Okay, ANOVA, analysis of variance used when we compare the means of more than 2 samples. This ANOVA is based on difference within the sample and difference between the sample. If you take 2 groups, more than 2 groups, you find the difference within the group and difference between the group, and you find the F value, which is the ratio, which is obtained by dividing the mean square between samples and mean square between samples. And of course, we go to the correlation and regression for dependent and dependent variable. And we have many non-parametric statistical tests are available, which we can use it for testing the hypothesis. It is based on your study, what type of study is, and what type of data you have collected. One such is chi-square test, which is proposed by Carl Pearson in 1887-89. It's an index of dispersion denoted as a chi-square for testing the certain hypothesis regarding the population ratio. You have 2 types of value. One is observed value and the expected value. And what is the difference between expected frequency and the observed frequency? And you find a ratio for that. And binomial test is there, yes or no answers, very simple questions. And this will discuss descriptive statistics, research, observation research, and experimental research. Just I'm skipping this. If you come to the analysis of data, you can use the SPSS software, MS Excel, and different softwares are available for different types of doing analysis in different subjects. And once you do all these things, you record the research findings and make the observations. What is your findings, recommendations for practice, and further research you can give. This is how you complete your research process or design. Now I come to the next aspect, review of research studies. A lot of research is going on for PhD purpose, after PhD postdoctoral purpose. Those who are working as professors, they apply for research projects and they get the research project and they are doing it. At the UGC level, ICSSR, even international level, Ford Foundation, etc., they are offering research projects to the research studies. What is the quality of the research what we are doing now? Suppose I give some data. There is a need for systematic and objective evaluation of research studies, what we are doing. American Education Research Association, AERA, examined a stratified sample of 125 articles drawn from population of 827 articles published in 41 different journals during 1962. I am not referring to 1924. I think long back, the quality was very high. Okay, in 1962, what this association has done, it has chosen the 827 research article, population of 827 research article. Out of this, 125 research articles have been chosen from 41 different journals. What was the finding in 1962 about the quality of the research? The sample of articles were given high qualified and experienced researchers for evaluation. These articles are given for evaluation. What is the findings of these experts' opinion? Only 7% of the articles were rated as being worth publication without change. Means, as a researcher, you experience that if you submit your research manuscript for publication to some reputed journals, normally you get a rejection letter. Suppose if they send a letter with modification, you would be happy. And rarely you will get an acceptance letter. This is about a very well-reputed journal. Means, you would expect a rejection letter, or you expect a acceptance with modification. Third one is acceptance without modification. Means they want a quality publications from the researchers. So this association has found that 7% of the research articles were rated as being worth publication. 40% were rated as requiring revision before publication, and remaining 52% of the sample were rejected as unfit for publication. We are giving the statistics for published articles in 1962. 1962, out of 827 published research articles in 41 journals, 125 articles were selected. They were reviewed by the experts. Experts' opinion is only 7% of the research articles of the 125 articles published are fit for publication. Remain 41% needs revision. 52 requires rejection. What it says, we are all doing research. We are producing PhDs, and we are also books and journals.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Area study is a serious indictment of much published research and emphasizes the need for systematic and objective evaluation of all our research. What it is a funded research or non-funded? It may be for PhD degree. How we are doing the research? We need a self-introspection by the researchers. The problem is how best to evaluate what one has written. Everyone is writing research articles. What is the evidence he has got? What is the proof he has got? What is the process he has followed? The aim of this presentation is to provide a checklist for evaluating research studies. So, how do you improve your research uh, work? Suppose one is there any quality suffers at the first stage itself research problem? First question is the research problem clearly stated? This is a checklist. You have to ask this question. Is the research problem significant? I can take a significant problem or insignificant problem. Will the results contribute to the solution of some practical or theoretical problem? For example, in the beginning, we have listed the sustainable development goals, around 17 goals of United Nations. Whether my research will contribute something to achieve some problem, solve some problem. Are the hypotheses clearly stated? Hypothesis can be loosely stated, means without any clarification. Are the hypothesis logically deduced from this some theory or problem? Means how do you deduce their hypothesis? We have talked about the how you can build the hypothesis based on theoretical assumptions about the problem. Is the relationship to previous research made clear? Means we call it about a review of literature. When you start your research work, you have to find what is the research work already done in the previous stages by different publisher researchers, what they have done, what they have given suggestion to continue further research. This is trying to define the research problem. A faulty research problem will not bring you the good research solution. Therefore, this is the first checklist. Second one is uh, first one is research design. Second one is research design methodology, which is very important. Are the assumptions of the study clearly stated? Are the limitations of the study stated? I mean, why do you have limitations? Maybe limitations of the period, data, manpower, money. So many limitations are there. I can limit my study to a certain scope. I have to define it. Are important terms in the study defined? What is the important terms? Some formulas will be there. And definition of some terms are there, whether it should be clearly defined. Is the research design fully described? Is the research design appropriate for our research? Are the population and sample described? Is the method of sample appropriate? Which sampling method you have used? Is the research design free of specific weaknesses, drawbacks? This is about research design. These questions you have to ask and verify whether I'm doing research and am I satisfying a clear answer to these questions. Then analysis part. One is research problem. Second one is methodology analysis. Are the analysis methods appropriate and are they properly applied? Are the results of the analysis clearly presented? Sometimes you collect data, you may not analyze the data. You analyze the data, but you may not codify them or present the results clearly. Means the pain you have taken to collect the data and analyze the data, results should be presented. Are the validity and the reliability of the evidence established? Whether your evidence or your data is reliable, whether they are valid, do they have a predictive validity or content validity? Analysis part you have to be very careful. And lastly, the findings. When you do record the findings, are the findings clearly stated? Means your findings is based on your evidence, your research evidence, analysis of the data. Are the findings substantiated by the evidence presented? You cannot write something which is not there in your research study. Means there is no data, you cannot come to some conclusion. Your conclusion is based on your data. Are the generalization confined to the population from which the sample was drawn? You cannot refer to some other population because your sample is from the population and your conclusion is referring to the sample which is related to the population. Is the report article logically organized and clearly written? Suppose you write a report sequentially, in order, in sequence, you have to write the report so that others can understand what you have done. Is the tone of the report article impartial and scientific? Means you cannot be biased in writing the report, one-sided, favoring or not favoring something, but it should be impartial, scientific, that gives you a valid opinion to the readers. This can be accepted, results can be accepted. And these are all the things about the about what is the quality of the research and how the area study has did this. Now I go to quality of the research can also be understood by citations. Citations means you publish an article in the research paper. How many further researchers will refer your article? Google Scholar, suppose if you go to Google Scholar or Academia, there are so many websites are available. They list the citations. A citation is the way you tell your readers that certain material in your work came from another source. Means you have published an article, how many of you have referred your article? It also gives the reader the information necessary to find the location details of that source or the reference or work cited in the page. Usually in the reference page it is given, maybe styles are there. You can follow the styles of reference in the number, maybe 1,000, 2,000, like this. If your work is very good work, they refer to thousands or lakh number of times. Means this is one source of your quality of research, citations. Second one is H-index. A H-index captures the research output based on the total number of publications and the total number of citations to those work. So by H-index is calculated by counting number of publications. Suppose I publish one research article. It has been published by one time. I have one index. Two times, three times, 10 times. 10 articles have been there. Okay. So by 10 authors. So H-index will give the scientist has published at least 10 papers that have been cited at least 10 times. Means all 10 papers have been published cited by 10 research authors. Means 10 into 10, 100 citations will be there. For each 10 H-index 10 means 10 articles have been published. Each article has minimum 10 citations. Okay. What is the H-index of a person? If H-index is more, it shows that he has published more number of papers and is more number of times it has been cited. Suppose H-index of 100 means 100 research papers have been cited each 100 times. 100 into 100 means roughly you get 1,000 citations. 100 is very high. Means if you are working as an assistant professor or a professor in a university or a college, if you publish in the Google Scholar, it gives you what is the H-index. Okay. Another one is another index is I-10 index. I-10 index is created by the Google Scholar. Google Scholar is an open source software. You go to Google Scholar, you can add your profile there. You type your name. Wherever you have published some research article or presented your research papers, automatically it will come there. You can add your publications also, books, journals, publications, etc. So the Google Scholar uses My Citation feature. This uses one index. This is I-10 index. The number of publications with at least 10 citations. Okay. What is number of 10 citations to be there here? This very simple measure is only used by Google Scholar. And the other way to help the gauge the productivity of scholar means the quality of research can be gauged by citations, H-index and I-10 index. Especially in science journals, science, they have more 10 I-10 index and more H-index and citations. In science faculty, followed by commerce and management and social science faculties. Suppose if you go to Kannada, Kannada means publications are made within Karnataka, not at the international level. These I-10 and I-10 index or H-index may not be used for language subjects except the English language. Means Kannada or Malayalam like this, they are very region specific. These are the three things we are using. Now we come to the funding, research funding. If you want to do the research, except the PhD guidance, universities are permitting the teachers to go for guidance. Now the UGC has made recommendation that those who pass NET examination, first category JRF, they're eligible for doing full-time research with fellowship. Second category is eligible for associate assistant professorship. They can take up the research admission also along with the lecturership. Third one is only for research admission. UGC also gives funding for research. There are apex bodies in India. One is UGC, ICSR, DST. If you go to the outside, Ford Foundation is there, United Nations is there. Apart from this, CSR funding from listed companies in India, because Companies Act 2013 has made mandatory to spend 3% of the average profit of the last 3 years. I mean, suppose you take Reliance Industries Limited. Reliance Industries Limited quarterly profit is roughly 20,000 crores. In a year, it makes 1 lakh crores. Means the profit of BSE census companies are in terms of crores. Suppose if the Reliance Industries earns 1 lakh crore profit per year, it has to spend minimum 3% of the average profit of the last 3 years. 3% means what? 3,000 crores. Where it should give means all listed companies, so 3 as corporate social responsibility funding, they can give the funding for research. But most of the listed companies in India, what they are doing is they start their own foundation. Infosys Foundation, Wipro Foundation, Reliance Foundation. Normally, the wives of the CEOs are the chairperson, Sudha Murthy, for example, or Nita Ambani. They transfer the money from the Reliance Industries to Reliance Foundation. They take up some CSR activities. Okay. There are many multinational corporations, they are funding the universities for doing research. So this is a one area where the teachers can approach the companies for some research grant from the CSR. Now UGC is giving less grant. UGC funding is very less. Earlier UGC is giving Institution of Excellence IOE grant 100 crores to the universities. The University of Mysore has got this. University with potential for excellence 50 crores. Many universities have got it. Center for Advanced Study. This is each center, a department, each center will be identified for advanced study and they give a CS, DRS 1, 2, 3 and CS. Rashtriya Uchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, National Higher Education Mission, this is called RUSA. RUSA grant is given to universities and also colleges for upgradation of the infrastructure and improve the quality of education. Another important UGC initiative was Global Initiative for Academic Network. It was started in 2012 to 14-15. Foreign faculty are invited to India. Indian faculty and foreign faculty together, they can offer a course, 1 week course to the students or the teachers. Very good initiative. I have done this Global Initiative for Academic Network program by inviting University of Kansas professor from USA. Airfare will be given and also honorarium accommodation is given. And we conducted a program for extensible business reporting language and accounting. Means anyone can do this Global Initiative for Academic Network, because to collaborate the foreign faculty with the Indian faculty, the Indian teacher can send a proposal to UGC and they get the grant 5 to 10 lakh rupees, and they conduct a program, short-term program for 1 week with the foreign faculty. This is Global Initiative for Academic Network, GR program. And of course, we have major research project, minor research project, and postdoctoral research are there. But if you see last trend in the last few years, UGC is not giving so much grant for doing research to the faculty members. We have to approach the listed companies, because we have listed the listed companies also. To get the grant, you have to submit the research proposal. You have to write the research proposal. We call it a synopsis. What's the title on which you write the proposal? Title would be very specific. Means you don't add so many things on the title. This is just like a gopuram of a temple. You can see the gopuram first, later on you can enter the temple. So your thesis is like a head. You can see it is very specific, very clear, and you write what is the title of the proposal. Who are involved? It can be individual researcher or a joint researcher, collaborative research, maybe collaborator, maybe from India or from the outside India. Name and address of the researchers. And you write about the title of the what is the introduction, objective, hypothesis, methodology, what is the budget you require for executing the project. Very specifically, you have to prepare the budget, and what is the outcome of the research, and where do you apply, and which are the references. You can write the proposal. If you prepare a proposal and submit to the funding agencies, there would be an expert committee. The expert committee would evaluate your research proposal. They may call for physical presentation or online presentation. You make a presentation before the expert committee. The expert committee, depending upon the availability of the funds, they allocate the funds to the researcher. They grant the fund for use. This is if you come to the budget, one has to prepare the budget. Budget is an estimated expenditure of the research proposed. What is the period of your project? Maybe in case of a minor research project, you can complete it within 1 year. If it is major research project, 3, 4, 5 years you can take. There are two parts of the expenditure in the budget. One is capital expenditure. You need equipment, books, etc., chemicals, etc. Revenue expenditure, salary, contingency, postage, etc. You divide the expenditure into capital and revenue expenditure. Sometimes you get the money for building also, but most of the cases building is available. They don't give the grant for construction of building, but they give the money for buying the equipments and also maintenance of equipment. You can prepare the budget for year-wise, head of expenditure-wise budget. Very specific budget you can prepare. Once you prepare the budget, you submit to the research funding agency and you get the grant. Normally, the funding agency require progress report. What is the progress you have done? You have to prepare the progress report and make a presentation every year. Researchers may require to present the progress before the expert committee. Then they will continue the project and they release the money. Suppose in case of big projects like IOU, Institute of Excellence, CPA, College for Potential of Excellence, or UP, University for Potential Excellence, they give 50 crores or 100 crores. It will be released in 2 or 3 installments. They require progress report. What's the progress the university has made in the research? This you have to make presentation. One of the important thing in the research is funding is utilization certificate. Once you submit the proposal and you grant the funding agency, grant the fund and use the money, you have to submit an audited utilization certificate. It may be every year you have to submit, and finally you have to consolidate and you submit the consolidated utilization certificate. Funding agencies may require audit or unaudited. In case of audited means you have to go for chartered accountant for audit, or you may go for government auditor. Maybe CAG government auditor is there or state government auditors are there. They will audit the accounts, whether the money has been spent according to the funding agency's requirements. Once they accept the utilization certificate, your research work would be completed. Most of the cases, what we are seeing is that if you fail to submit the utilization certificate, if the utilization certificate is rejected by the funding agencies, it is very difficult to settle the accounts, to settle the amount. Usually, funding agencies require you to open a separate bank account. Why separate bank account is required? In a college or a university, there are several bank accounts are there. One is scholarship account, fees account, sports account, cultural account, so many things are there. You don't mix the research grant into the college fees account. Therefore, in a college or university, there's a separate bank account. It may require to open the separate bank account for a separate research project. Another thing is that interest earned on the amount sanctioned by the funding agency, not utilized by the researcher, will be deducted from the sanctioned amount. Suppose they sanction 100 crores for 5 years IOE project. First they release 50 crores. 2 years they use it. If they not use it, if the money is there in the bank interest will be credited. At the end of the 5 years period, they don't release 100 crores because already if they release 90 crores, 100 crores is adjusted towards the interest amount credited to the bank account. Therefore, why do they need bank account? Separate bank account means that research fund will earn interest. Another one is that usually a institution which gets the research grant, they divert the amount for some other purpose. For in your name, the project has come, but college needs some money. They divert your amount. Diversion of fund is objectionable by auditor. Therefore, we have 2 types of funds. One is restricted fund, another one is unrestricted fund. In university setup, university is a custodian of the resources, fees paid by the students, grant released by the government. It's a custodian. It has to spend the money for the purposes for providing education. University should not divert the money. Therefore, university accounts, university finance will have two types of accounts. One is restricted accounts, another one is unrestricted accounts. A restricted account is the bank account in which you have to use the money for the purpose for which it is released. Suppose you apply for a UGC project and you get a minor research project for 5 lakh rupees. You have to open a separate bank account, put that money in the separate bank account. That money should not be diverted to other purpose. You cannot use that money for conducting a sports activity or cultural activity. A principal cannot do that, cannot draw the money. Therefore, you have to give a declaration in the utilization certificate that the money has been utilized for the purpose for which it has been released by the funding agency. Therefore, now so many funding agencies are requiring separate bank account. Now the new trend is that you can open the bank account in the nationalized banks. You can also open in the Reserve Bank of India. Now, Reserve Bank of India has taken for more and more control. All government funds will be kept by the Reserve Bank of India accounts. And we have another system called Public Financial Management System. This is in case of central government. It has designed a system called PFMS system. PFMS system is you get the fundings through this Public Financial Management System. They have got a EAT model. What is EAT model? EAT means expenditure, advance, and transfer. Suppose you are a researcher, you apply for research fund, you get the money. You are getting the money from the UGC for expenditure, not for transfer, not for advance. You cannot give the money to someone else, some for advance as advance, or you cannot transfer the money. Suppose you think of a state government receives money from the central government for research. UGC has released the money to state government education department. Education department will distribute the money to the universities and colleges. In that, state government is not incurring expenditure. It is transferring money of the central government to the state government. Transfer will come. What is advance? Suppose a university or a college wants to procure some equipment from the supplier. Yes, a supplier may ask for some advance. It can give the advance. Later on, advance money is adjusted towards expenditure. So very beautiful software. This software can be adopted by a college, by a university. This is a PFMS software. Now, funding agencies may require you to use this software. Especially UGC, as the funding researchers to use the Public Financial Management System software. You have to use it. There will be a credentials. They will give you the credentials, password. You can upload the data there. You can generate the utilization certificate in the PFMS itself, and you can also transmit the data to this UGC. This is another public financial management system by the UGC for implementation of research projects in colleges and universities. This is my presentation. We have time till 30 minutes. I want you to ask questions. Yeah, please. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please ask questions because I made a presentation. Just if you have any questions or clarifications, we will discuss. Yes, please.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
Okay.
ಸರ್ ಮುರುಗೇಶ್ ಅಂತ ಸರ್, ಹೂವಿನಡಗಲಿ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸರ್,
Okay, please.
ವಿಜಯನಗರ ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ಈಗ ಮೇಜರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮೈನರ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಈಗ ನಮಗೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫೈಡ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಡಾಕ್ಟರೇಟ್ ಇದೀವಿ ಸರ್, ಬಟ್ ಅದರ್ ದೆನ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಆ ತರ ಏನಾದ್ರು
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನಿರಲ್ಲ.
ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್?
ನಿಮ್ ಕಾಲೇಜು UGC 12A12BF ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಕಗ್ನಿಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಯೂಶಲಿ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಾಲೇಜುಗಳಿಗೆ.
ಹಾ ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ನೀವು ಪರ್ಮನೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತೀರಿ. ಪರ್ಮನೆಂಟ್ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡೋದವ್ರು. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಥ್ರೂ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಚಾನಲ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು. When you send a proposal, ಇಲ್ಲಿ it is not what is the quality of a proposal is very important. What is the quality of expert? It goes to the expert committee. When it goes to the expert committee, they see what is the funds available, how many proposals they have received. Suppose for your lucky, funds are more, proposals are less, high probability of selection is there. Suppose funds are less, proposals are many, then the expert committee will eliminate. They will go for shortlisting the proposals. So what do you do when you try to submit the proposal to ICSR or UGC or DST? Try to submit the proposal and you make an attempt, definitely you will get it. You get the grant. And you also try the CSR funding from the companies. CSR funding.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Just next question.
ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
Yeah, please tell me.
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಚಮನ್ ಸಾಬ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್. ನಾನು ಏಡೆಡ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ನ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ಸರ್ ಈಗ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಗಳು ಓನ್ಲಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಆಗ್ತದೋ ಅಥವಾ ಏಡೆಡ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್? 12th 12th
ಏಡೆಡ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಶಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್, ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಅಂತ. ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಏಡೆಡ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಸ್ಗೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏಡೆಡ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟೀಸ್ಗೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ನೀವು ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ಯಾವ ತರ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಯು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈಡ್ ಅಂತ. ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಎ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ರೆಲೆವೆಂಟ್, ಸಿಗ್ನಿಫಿಕೆಂಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ದ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ವುಡ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇಟ್.
ಸರ್ ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಸರ್ ಅನ್ಎಡೆಡ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ನಾಗ ಇದ್ದ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ಸರ್. ಮೈನರ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಸ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ 80,000 ರೂಪೀಸ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರು. 12th 12th ಬಿ ಸರ್, ಅದು ಅನ್ಎಡೆಡ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್.
ಅದು ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. 12 ಬಿ ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ
ಇಲ್ಲ, 12th 12th ಬಿ ಇತ್ತು ಸರ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್. ಅದು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು, ಲೆಟರ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಂದ್ರು ಇದು ಅವರು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್,
ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದು
ಯಾಕೆ?
ಅದೇ ಸರ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಲೆಟರ್ ಬರಬೇಕು. ನೀವು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಈ ತರ ಸ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಐ ವೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಮನಿ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ಲಿ ರಿಲೀಸ್, ಲೆಟ್ ಮಿ ನೋ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ಫಾರ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಲೀಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ಮನಿ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತಾಗ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲಣ್ಣ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರ?
ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ವಿ ಸರ್. ಅದೇ ಅನ್ಎಡೆಡ್ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ
ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್. ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ನೀವು ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಈಗ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ISSR ಕಳಿಸಿ, SSR ಕಳಿಸಿ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್. ಸರಿ ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
We have written one proposal to the University of Mysore. University, I belong to the Commerce Department, Mysore University. We have written a proposal on weather derivatives, crop insurance, which is very relevant for farmers. Okay, how to formulate the weather derivatives based on the weather index. We collected the rainfall data of 100 years in different meteorological reasons, and we submitted this and made a presentation before the expert committee. They sanctioned 50 lakh rupees to do the weather derivatives, where the farmers' risk can be shifted to the market, stock market. In India, it is not popular, but in USA it is popular. Weather derivatives, rainfall index. Now we are only talking about stock market, bond market, but in future it will also come. So you have to prepare and make a presentation before the expert committee. This can be done individually, or it can be a group of teachers, maybe a joint project with others. Next question.
ಸರ್, ಈ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು 2-3 ನಾವೇ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ.
One is administrative problem. Suppose you belong to one government college.
Okay.
ನೀವು ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಬರ್ತದಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾರು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ ಒಂದ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ.
Okay.
ಯೂಶುವಲಿ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ನೀವು. ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಾರಿನ್ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್. ಹೇಗೆ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀವು ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಿ,
Yes, sir.
ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ದಮ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಟರ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ರೋಲ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಲ್ ಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಯುಸಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆ ತರದಲ್ಲಿ. ಬಟ್ ಅವರು ಒಪ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್ಗೆ. ನೀವ್ ಯಾರು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರೋ ಅವ್ರು ಒಪ್ಕೋಬೇಕು.
ಹೌದು.
ಈಗ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, IIM ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ಸ್ಗಳು,
ಹಾ,
ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವೆರಿ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಿಂಗ್, ದೇ ಕಮ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್. ಇದು
Yes.
ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಗ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅವರು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದೇ ಗೈಡ್, ದೇ ಡೂ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ರೆಪ್ಯುಟೇಷನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದೇರ್ ರೆಪ್ಯುಟೇಷನ್ ಯು ವುಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಆ ತರ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಫಾರ್ ಸಮ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಷನ್. ಕೆಲವು ಕಡೆ ಫಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಫಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಎ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್, huge research project. They need some assistance from some research scholars. Suppose you are working in a college, you can collaborate with the professor who is working in the college, in the university, who has got funding.
Yes,
ನೀವು
sir.
ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು.
As a
ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟು ಫಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ ಈಗ. ನೀವು ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಹೋಗಿ ನೀವು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, there are two ways. ಒಂದೇನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಬಹುದು, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಫುಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಹೋಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕೊಲಾಬ್ರೇಟ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ
as a project fellow.
ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಫೆಲೋ.
As a project fellow like that, sir.
ನನಗೆ ಏನ್ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ PhD ಮಾಡಿದಿರಿ, ನೀವು ಡನ್ PhD.
Yes, sir.
The problem is that to do PhD you should take some topic and complete your PhD.
Yes.
Okay, it all depends upon your research guide and also your college, etc. After PhD, postdoctoral PhD work, you have to identify one area of research, which is your area. You cannot touch all the areas. Therefore, you choose one area in your subject. What is your subject? Commerce or language or Kannada or English, something. Choose a subject. Try to master the subject. So you do to continue to work on one single area. Means you publish a paper, you make presentations, you apply for some research project. What happens now, teachers are not specialized in one area. They may specialize in many areas in research. It is very difficult to excel in the field. Okay, try to focus on a single field which is emerging, which is correct for the next 10 years, and work on that. Definitely you will be in the picture. Suppose if you try 2, 3, 4 areas, you don't get expertise in all the areas. This is one observation what we see. Focusing on one area is very important. So it will have a effect for next 30 years or 40 years. You can work on that area.
Thank you, sir.
Publications, new publications you can done in India or in elsewhere. Foreign publications, foreign journals, they take more time because the acceptance rate is very less. But you have to try and submit, resubmit, and get your research paper published in the research journal. Means you have impact factor also. Especially in science journals, we have impact factors. What is the impact factors? Depending upon the number of impact factors, the quality will be judged. Number of citations, it also be judged. So try to publish in the reputed journals. Your reputation will increase if you do that. Next questions. ಪ್ಲಗೇರಿಸಂ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಈಗ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಲೋ ಆರ್ ಹೈ. Another thing is that we have a plagiarism. Plagiarism means copying the research done by someone else. Because of the internet facility, you can download anything and you can cut and copy all these things. Now this trend is going on. So as far as possible, our research work should be genuine, original. Therefore, try to avoid someone has done something what you have to do, you refer the literature and formulate your own research study, research problem and try to do in a different way. Therefore, plagiarism will be less. Plagiarism will lead to a problem later. Suppose you publish, your citations are more and more. They may come to know that this is not your original work, it is done by someone else. Therefore, we must be very careful about the plagiarism. Okay. So with this presentation, I thank you for attending my lecture for the last 2.5 hours. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I am sharing my PPT to you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
ನಂದನ್ ಸರ್.
ಮೋಹನ್ರಾಜು ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿ.
ಇವಾಗ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಶುರು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ 5 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ.
ಹೌದು ಹೌದು. ಫುಲ್ ರೆಡಿನಾ? ಫುಲ್ ರೆಡಿ ಆಗಿರಿ.
ಪದ್ಮಲತಾ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಔಟ್ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು.
ನಮ್ದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಿದ್ದೈತಿ ನನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ಸರ.
ಸರ್ ವನರಾಜು ಸರ್,
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹೇಳಿ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಮೊನ್ನೆ ನಿಮಗಲ್ವಾ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಔಟ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು?
ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು?
ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ 40 ಅಂತ ಸ್ಕೋರು. ನೋಡಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಂದನ್ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಇದಾರೆ, ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಅದೇ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು.
ಓ ನನಗೆ 38 ಸರ್.
ಕಂಗ್ರ್ಯಾಚುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಓ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಇಲ್ವಂತಲ್ಲ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಬರೀ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಮೇಬಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದೇನೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದಂತೆ.
ಬಟ್ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊನ್ನೆ ನಾವು ಇದ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ ರಿಫ್ರೆಶರ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್,
ಹಾ
ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಬಿ ಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೇಡ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
ಅಲ್ಲ FIP ಲೂ ಇತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಗ್ರೇಡ್?
ಅದೇ FIP ಇತ್ತು, FIP ಇತ್ತು. ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
ಇದೆಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್.
ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್.
ಎಸ್ ಎಸ್
ಸರ್ ನಮ್ದು ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಲೆಟರ್
ಸರ್ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ ಸರ್, ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಹಾ
ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಬರೋವರೆಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ನಾವು, ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟು 43 ಜನ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. 42 ಜನ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 46 ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್